This video is about Plants vs. Zombies, which hasn't been in the news at all lately. And apparently they tried to make something called Plants vs. Zombies 3, but that turned out to be a big failure.
Plants vs. Zombies. Possibly the most iconic tower defense game of all time that spawned a huge ongoing series. Oh, and then you've got Plants vs. Zombies 2, one of the most popular mobile games ever made, that's continued to receive updates for over a decade.
By the way, I used to play PvZ2 still back in like 2022, 2023, and then I stopped because some people didn't like that I played the game. But I will say that game is very like microtransaction heavy, and that is something that I really, really dislike about it. Just saying. Just saying.
What the hell is this? Sponsored by War Thunder. Plants vs. Zombies 3 is a game that some of you probably didn't even know existed. However, that would add up as it's been stuck in development hell for over 8 years, and it's been deleted from the App Store multiple times for sucking too much. But how did this even happen? How did one of the most revolutionary and well-known puzzle games go from win after win after win to flopping so hard? And what actually makes this game so bad in the first place? Well, Musi is here to revisit the Plants vs. Zombies series in a pathetic attempt to regain his relevance. Subscribe for more! Hey. The 3 most important world events in history: the moon landing, World War II, and Plants vs. Zombies was released on May 5th, 2009. You protect your house from zombies via veg.
By the way, this OG version of the game, like PvZ1, used to be so goated, bro. Actually goated. I used to play this all the time on my DS. Like it was so good, bro. So good. Revolutionary. Crazy good game. PvZ2 was also good too. I remember playing that back in middle school. Oh, not even middle school, high school, sorry. But like, man, bro, the transactions, like I said, I feel like it is EA, right? So anything EA touches is just filled with microtransactions. It has to stop, bro. It's crazy. Just like The Sims. Like, ask anybody that plays The Sims, they'll tell you.
Levels, it's insanely addicting, yada yada, you know this already.
Remember when you could also play as the zombies? Yeah, that was in multiplayer, I believe. You could do multiplayer with friends, and you could play, like, each one of the sides. It was really cool. It was really fun.
At the time, was one of the most popular games in the world, largely due to its mobile port, which sent the series' popularity to Pluto, the dwarf planet. 4 years later, they burst back onto the scene with Plants vs. Zombies 2, which was essentially a direct upgrade to the original. More levels, more plants, more mini-games, more microtransactions. Wait, more?
Nope.
Microtransactions?
There you go.
Microtransactions make game bad. No. And while this game was criticised for its freemium model, I'd say it paid off as PvZ2 became even more popular than the original, gaining over 200 million downloads. According to my calculations, that's a lot. After this huge success, they went on to release spin-off titles such as the Garden Warfare.
I never actually played Garden Warfare. Like, did anyone play that? Like, was this a good game? Because I'll be honest, I wasn't a big fan of like the models and everything. But I just, at this point in time, when they came out with Garden Warfare, I just fell out of the game. Like, I wasn't playing Plants vs. Zombies anymore. Same thing with Clash of Clans. Like, I used to play that in middle school, high school. Like, I used to play it a lot when it first came out. But after some point, I feel like I just don't want to play it. Like, I grow out of it, you know, and I play other things. I love spawning the giant dude with the weird kid on its back. This guy tried touching a little kid at Target, by the way. Bros on Gideon watch. Yo, okay. So first it was Walmart, now it's Target. Bro, what's next? Macy's? Like, come on, man. Come on, bro.
Series.
Who's gonna fall for that shit? Nah, there's no way. You know what's crazy? I genuinely want the day to come when one dude genuinely believes what you say and they actually report me.
In 2016, Popcap began developing Plants vs. Zombies 3, with some early concept art being posted online. There isn't much info out there about the early development of the game. However, it was announced during a China licensing expo that the game was planned to release in late 2017. Unsurprisingly, that didn't end up being the case, and for the next couple of years, Popcap were basically silent about what they had planned for the series. The public had no idea they were working on both poo-poo and caca. However, that all changed on July
Okay,
16th, 2019, when Plants vs. Zombies 3 was officially announced and a pre-alpha test was initiated.
Was it actually announced though? I feel like I didn't even get the memo about it. I mean, I might have heard something about it from videos on the internet, but I never saw a specific announcement. But maybe that's just me. I don't know. Also, dude, look at the UI, bro. Look at the models of this. Like the sun model. Oh god, bro, that just looks horrible. Is it just me?
Limited users. Ew! When people got access to this pre-alpha, there was immediate disappointment, as this game looked so weird. Gone was the cartoonish, stylized art style, which was one of the main things the series was known for, and instead the game had a new 3D but still 2D, overly smooth corporate ad look to it.
Okay, I'll be real, bro. This is before this guy even was gonna say anything. This was my exact thought. Like, the reason why people stop playing the game, I feel like, well, PvZ3 at least, right, is because when you're used to, like, let's say, for example, I'll take a TV series like Pokemon, right? We know that as time goes on, typically animation tends to get better, right? So when it comes to the Pokemon anime, you can watch like the very first episodes, Orange Island and all that stuff, and then you can move on to like, oh, you know, you go through the time and you get to like Sinnoh, you get to like Kalos and XYZ, which in my opinion was peak Pokemon, at least for the series, right? And then from XYZ, you go to Sun and Moon. Now, when Sun and Moon came out, they changed the animation to look more like cartoonish or kiddish, I suppose. And it was a big downgrade, in my opinion, from XYZ. Even like Journeys, right? The Journeys animation style, the most recent Pokemon anime they had out there, was not that great. Ash looked even more like a kid than he did in the previous series. Like, people don't like when you're used to having a certain style set in stone for you, and you're used to having, you know, that look tend to stay throughout the majority of the show's lifetime. And then all of a sudden one day you change to a worse version of it. People are immediately going to dislike it, because in this case, in Plants vs. Zombies, like the way the plant models genuinely look, even the UI, it almost seems like, not that Plants vs. Zombies wasn't a kid game, but it feels like PvZ3 is even more of a kid's game. You know what I'm talking about? Like, the guy's right. It's like a game you would see on mobile ads, you know? Like, the UI is horrible. It just doesn't even look that good. And it's a big downgrade from how PvZ 1 and 2 used to look.
Corporate ad look to it. What did they do to the pea shooter? Where's his whimsy? Also, you may notice that this video seems to have taken Ozempic and is a bit thinner than usual. And that's because, for some disturbed reason, this game was exclusively stuck in portrait mode.
Oh,
now,
wow.
I know it's a mobile game. I can understand the decision behind making it vertical only, but it doesn't mean I have to like it. How are you going to squeeze this horizontal lawn onto a vertical screen? This looks so cramped. I really don't understand why there wasn't at least an option to play both vertically and horizontally. I'm no game developer, but I really don't think that would have been hard. Gameplay-wise, it was still just Plants vs. Zombies. But it felt like everything that made the game good and interesting was just not there. There were significantly less plants, even less zombie variety, no mini-games, no replayable levels, no endless mode, no multiplayer, and no sunflowers.
Yo, Marquise! Thank you so much for the resub, brother. I appreciate it. Holy. That's probably for the ads, huh? Thank you so much, though. I appreciate it, bro. Keep doing you, brother. I'll keep doing what I do as well. But yeah, no, back to the vid, though. I feel like, in their defense, right? This is only like a demo version of the game, at least from what I remember him saying. So it would make sense that there isn't as many plants as there would have been compared to like PvZ2, you know? Like, the game wasn't even fully released yet. I feel like the fact that there's less plants in this game isn't really a knock on it, because it's not like a fair comparison.
Sunflowers. You know, the thing that made the original games interesting. Not there. You just got one sun every 3 seconds, because who needs strategy? Well, Musi with slightly longer hair, if you want strategy, then why not try out today's sponsor, War Thunder? It basically felt like it played itself. This dumbed down gameplay, partnered with the boring art style, left a really bad taste in people's mouths, receiving really bad reviews from even the most dedicated fans. It felt like a step back rather than a step forward. And while yes, this was meant to be a bare bones version of the game for early playtesting, it really wasn't a good look for a game that had supposedly been in development for 3 years. After nearly a year, the game finally left the pre-alpha stage, and 2 weeks later, soft launch worldwide. And by worldwide, I mean not worldwide at all, it was available in like 3 countries. Why? I'm sure it costs money to release a game worldwide, okay. But you do want people to play your game, right? Like, does the Plants vs Zombies team think the entire fanbase is located in Ireland and Romania? I don't understand this decision. This is just purely limiting the amount of people that can play your game, is it not? It's almost as if they knew the game was mediocre and didn't want the world to see it. The game received some updates, notably to the stupid sun mechanic, making it...
honestly, I feel like if they knew it was that bad, then they probably wouldn't have released anything about it, no? Like, is that a fair thing to say? Like, if I know that my well, I guess it's different in this case, but for example, right? This is a perfect example, right? If I know that the video that I'm making is gonna be shit, I probably wouldn't want to upload that to YouTube, right? Because I'm not happy with the quality of the content. So in this case, I feel like, especially with a game that you're making for millions of players, if you know it's shit, I don't think you would probably want to release it in the first place. Because then you have, well, this whole situation happen, right? I mean, everyone just hated on it anyways, right? You gathered enough feedback and information from the demo, and then you soft launched it for 3 countries. Like, I'm sure players were telling you that they disliked a majority of the content that was in the game at the time. But despite that, they still decide to soft launch the game. Like, to me, that makes no sense. But I guess there's a reason why you can't play PvZ3 anyways today, right? So
slightly better, adding a larger variety of plants and zombies, and developing creative ways of stealing your money. This game was not well received at all, despite the pretty huge amount of effort that seemed to have gone into it. Popcap were obviously trying. This doesn't look lazily made in the slightest. It's just the decisions that were made that don't make any sense. This wasn't Plants vs Zombies 3, this was Plants vs Zombies 0.5. But maybe if they put enough work into this game, fixed many of the issues people had with it, and didn't give up on it, this game could become a true next generation PvP.
You know, I'm not gonna lie, aside from the UI and like the look and of the models of the plants, I don't know what else was actually wrong with it, because I didn't play the game and I didn't hear anything about it at the time. I don't even think he said much about it either. But I think, in my opinion, from what I take away from it, is that the models, for sure, was probably one of the biggest issues that the game faced. Because let's be honest, they don't look good.
Easy, they gave up on it. Not even a year after the launch, Plants vs Zombies 3 was binned. Not just downtime, they didn't just make it temporarily unavailable, they deleted it. All that work gone into it? Bye-bye. I guess in their eyes, the game was just unsavable, and the only possible way of creating a great experience was starting from scratch. Was it worth it? On September 7th, 2021, only 10 months after the game was shut down, Plants vs Zombies 3 was completely remade from the ground up and relaunched into beta, and okay, this immediately looked so much better. First things first, thank crazy Dave above, they got rid of the putrid 3D art style and returned to the classic cartoony design. It was, however, still technically 3D and was just stylized to look more like the 2D models, and I've seen a lot of people complain about this, and honestly, I think this is completely fine. I understand the original fully 2D designs had more
I'll be real.
charm
I was never a fan of those 3D models at all. Like, even Garden Warfare, I was hesitant to even try to play because of the models. And that's just, maybe it's a me thing. I don't know who actually played Garden Warfare. I'm sure it's a good game. Like, it has good reviews. So I'm guessing that people actually enjoyed playing the game. But I was so hesitant to play it just because of how it looked. And to me, it didn't seem that fun. But I mean, what do I know? I didn't even try it, so I don't know. Why do a lot of games do something good once or twice, and then for some reason they change the art, game design, etc.? That probably has to do with like people's creative visions for how they want the game to go. But I agree, you know, um, like I think companies nowadays should run with the formula of if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Look at Riot Games, for example. Look at League of Legends. League has been pretty consistent. I mean, they've had some graphics updates and stuff. They do balance changes almost every week or every other week, and they constantly nerf or buff certain champions in the game. They have different game modes, but the core of the game is the same. You are on a team, you destroy enemy towers, and eventually destroy their Nexus turret. Not turret, well, their Nexus in their home base, and you win the game. That is the core gameplay of League of Legends. That game has been around for I don't know how long now, like over a decade, and it is still one of the most played and most watched games on stream in general. Like if I told you, if I said League of Legends or something about Riot Games, there's no way you don't know what that is, or there's no way you haven't heard of it. Even Arcane, bro. Arcane is a TV show that is based off of League of Legends. Like if it ain't broke, don't fix it, bro. And they're still succeeding. They're still so popular. I definitely feel like in this case, especially with Plants vs Zombies, like the biggest change in when they released PvZ3, like they completely like they went downhill so quickly, and now they're dead. Literally, no one, like almost nobody plays their games except for like true loyal fans. Old art better, PvZ2 art better. That's true. Keep going. I'm almost there. What the fuck, bro? All right, pal. You're a weirdo.
But from a development standpoint, it makes infinitely more sense to make them 3D. And what, you're going to tell me this is better? What do you mean, yes? But gameplay-wise, while it did feel more classic as they brought back the regular Sunflower mechanic, thank God, this game was even more bare bones than the previous build.
Baby.
And while I get it, it makes sense as they had
Yo, this dude is busting a nut to my stream. That is wild. Okay, pal.
to start pretty much from scratch. It means that one of the biggest criticisms, that being the lack of content, was not only not fixed, but even worse. Less plants, less zombies. You can't pick the plants you use. There were no game modes, that's right, none. It was available in an impressive 2 countries, and they introduced, quite possibly, the stupidest feature in Plants vs Zombies history: lives. So you know how when you play a game, you like to be able to, you know, play it? Well, not anymore. You start off with 5 lives, and if you lost them all, you had to stop playing. It physically would not let you continue until you generated more lives. But don't worry, there is a way you can speed this process up. This is pathetic and nothing more than Popcap or EA or whoever trying to get money out of people. Said people.
Oh, no. I guarantee you it's EA, bro. I guarantee you it's EA, brother. It is. It's just EA. But yeah, that is actually, I'll be honest, that is some gacha game type shit. Like, genuinely. There's tons of although gacha games aren't as bad. Actually, believe it or not, they're really not that bad. But in gacha games, there is a mechanic where you have stamina, and it doesn't matter what it's called. It's in basically almost every gacha game, where you can grind for like RNG artifacts or like weapons or some shit like that, but it consumes stamina. One way you can keep going is if you replenish the stamina. And there's usually some kind of item that they give you that allows you to do it, like resin in Genshin Impact. Zenless Zone Zero has the same thing. I don't know what it's called, but it's an item pack that replenishes stamina so you can keep grinding, right? Even Persona 5, the Phantom X has it. However, if you run out of that item and you still want to grind, then you have to pay currency, like your premium currency that you get to like wish or pull for a limited character, right? And in order to get that currency, you either need to play the game or you have to buy it. In hindsight, this is the same thing, but it's a lot worse because the only way in order to replenish your resin, aside from like waiting, is to pay money. So it's like you're wasting real life hours. It's almost like, bro, you get booted off the game. Like you know, what is that? On the Wii, bro, if you were playing Wii Sports, there was a thing where it's like if you're I don't know if you play a Wii Sports Resort, but like if you're like running, you know, like running or cycling, if you're going too fast or some shit like that, it'll detect that you're having like a heart attack, and it actually prevents you from continuing to play the game. It stops you and locks you out until you like calm down and relax. Like it's like that type of shit, bro. Except Wii Sports Resort is not monetary at all. But Plants vs Zombies for sure is. There's just games you're not supposed to play for hours and hours. Yeah, I mean, I understand the concept of that, but like, bro, 5 lives. Like you can lose 5 lives in like 2 minutes, bro. 10 minutes. What do you mean slow down? I'm almost there.
Most likely being children. Instead of focusing on making this game an enjoyable installment in the PvZ series, the developers were simply luring people in with the IP in a sad attempt to drain their bank accounts. The game itself did feel a bit more like the game people know and love, but the model surrounding it felt like every other mobile game. And once again, similarly to the previous release, fans were not happy with it, and who can blame them? Why entirely scrap the previous version if you're just going to do the same thing again with slightly different things wrong this time? This beta phase lasted about 2 weeks, so it really was a short test, and Popcap decided that the best way of communicating with the community was to be completely silent and drop random betas that barely anyone could access. There was another 2-week beta 7 months later, and then another one 6 months after that. But in fairness, they each brought decently large updates, focused on adding new plants, smoothing out rough edges, and fleshing out the story mode. Now, the previous entries in the PvZ series didn't have much of a story other than Crazy Dave occasionally going hobble. However, things were different with this game, as there was now much more stuff to do outside of the battles, like upgrading buildings, doing tasks and talking to Dave. Wait, hang on, why isn't he crazy? Who wants to talk to regular Dave? Bog standard Dave. And as cool as I'm sure this is for the people who care about the ongoing Plants vs Zombies lore, to the average person, this is just something you had to get past in order to keep playing.
You know, I said it before in other videos, and I'll say it again. If you don't communicate with your own player base, the people who keep your game up and running, your game is going to fail. It's as simple as that. It's going to fail. I mean, what do you expect? Like I said, there's a reason why PvZ 3 is not out in 2025. Like, you just can't play it, bro. It's garbage.
I'm sorry, most people just don't care about doing stuff like this. You didn't have to spend 5 minutes cleaning up before you could continue playing in Plants vs Zombies 1, because it wasn't designed like every other mobile game out there, something this entry was miserably failing at. Why were Popcap so insistent on making a game that looked like PvZ, but wasn't? They were putting more time and effort into the garbage meant to keep your attention and yoink your hard-earned money than the bits where you verse the zombies as plants. That is the name of the game! All these lackluster updates that addressed barely any of the issues people had with the game was so disappointing for the long-time fans of this series.
You know, I'll be honest though, I'll be real. Like, I feel like to an extent, I can defend them while saying this. They might have been trying to like branch out into other ideas for the game than just the standard place your plants, kill the zombie, you win the level. Like, you had 2 games doing that exact thing. How can you make a third game better than the previous 2? Like, what can you do to further improve upon the game rather than just copying the same exact formula? Like, there has to be some kind of change or difference, especially if it's a completely new game. So to that extent, at least they're trying to implement other things to do. But I feel like it's really hard to improve upon really successful models, you know, because they're successful for a reason. And in this case, with PvZ 3, their changes ended up being their own downfall. So, like, at this point, what can you do? Because, like, the gameplay is pretty standard and linear. And honestly, it's not my... Bro, what? Keep going. Keep looking at the camera like, okay. Yo, okay, this is absolutely wild. Like, bro, what compels you to say this shit? Like, genuinely. I'm so curious. Actually, you know what? I'm not curious. Keep it to yourself, bro. I don't even want to know. My point is, like, what can you do to improve upon the success of the previous 2 games in this case, you know? But it's not necessarily my job to give you that answer, but I'm just simply asking the question. Like, for the people that, you know, honestly, even the player base, like, I feel like if they communicated with their player base better, they could have gotten higher reception for the game. They could take this time to commit like surveys and ask them, what do you like about the game? What do you dislike about the game? How do you think we can make it better? And once you take that collective, like those collective thoughts and revise the game, then you might see a little bit more success. But because they don't listen to them, or they don't even at least hear their criticisms of it, they fail. And that's just plain as day. Like, it's so simple.
And after the last short beta phase, they were left with nothing for over 14 months. All news about this game just stopped, and the people who'd supported these developers for years were once again left in the dark. But that was all about to change, as on one cold January morning, our Forsaken lands were blessed with the warmth and grace of something with such beauty, it made the sun shed a tear, and that was Plants vs. Zombies 3. Welcome to Zomburbia. It's the same thing! January 7th, 2024 brought the launch of PvZ3 with a fancy new subtitle,
They're still
and
trying
that was
it?
all that was new. Thanks for watching. You'd expect for a full-on launch of the game, not just some beta, that it'd feel, you know, done. But it was essentially no different to the betas. None of the real problems with the game had been addressed at all. It just looked identical, and if you don't believe me, I've been showing beta footage for the last 2 sentences. Once again, the people that loved this series the most were given a plate full of nothing in what was supposed to be an exciting release.
Okay. I'm gonna, again, this is hypocritical. I think you can't complain about a game changing up its activities and like talking, like, for example, like talking to Crazy Dave, or like doing some gardening. Like, you can't complain about them making those type of changes to the game, and then in the very next segment you complain about how it's the same gameplay over and over again. Like, that's just, you can't have it both ways, bro. It doesn't work like that. Because on one hand, it's like I said earlier, you either stick to the formula that you had that got you all the success, or you try to adapt and make some changes to build upon that success. In this case, they failed upon both, and what ends up happening is that when they saw that all of the player base basically hated all the new changes they made, they tried to revert back to the older model of just the standard same gameplay, and even then it was hated. It's because they're trying to rectify the mistake that they made in the first place, you know? Or they're trying to rectify the reaction of the reaction to the changes they made in the first place, you know? That's what I'm trying to say. Like, it's, to me, like, I understand what he's saying, but it's just, you can't have it both ways. Like, you're not making any sense at this point. And that's why I said earlier, I'll give them credit for making some of those changes, because at least they're trying something, even though they didn't implement it in the best way. But it's players like this that it's like you can never satisfy them, because they're always going to backtrack on what they want in the first place. That's what usually it would make me think, like, these are the people that actually just hate on the game just to say they hate on the game, you know? Like, just for fun. Like, which is it? Pick one, bro.
That wasn't enough. It still wasn't available worldwide. I just cannot wrap my head around what they were thinking. How are you going to mistreat this absolutely massive series to this extent? Sure, games like Battle for Neighborville did flop, but at least it's still a somewhat decent game that doesn't stop you from playing if you lose too much. And what they've now inadvertently caused by this is that nobody cares anymore. The average person doesn't even know this game exists because it's so heavily region locked for no reason. And the die-hard fans couldn't care less because they know nothing good will ever come of this game. Even after they updated it to let you choose which plants you use, something the original 2 games already had, and added loads of new content, this game was ruined from the start. No amount of polishing could make it good. You know, as much as I'm bad-mouthing this game, there's still a part of me that has a little hope. Maybe if they just started listening a bit more, updated it quicker, and focused less on it being mobile slop, they could redeem themselves and make this the game it was truly destined to be. What's that sound? Are you kidding me? Not even a year after it actually launched for the second time, it was shut down again.
You can't judge the game for being the same as the previous and then also judge the game for making changes. Like you can't criticize both of them. I think, oh, here's what I was gonna say. Nowadays, there are too many more games that are more like modernized with better graphics, or they're more, I'll be honest, there's a lot more gacha games that are more intriguing, anime waifu type games where it might attract more players than something like PvZ. But I still feel like as time goes on, people still like to play older games or older gems that they might have played when they were younger. And I still feel like Plants vs. Zombies will definitely be one of those types of games, you know? I do think that there was a some kind of trailer recently that they're coming out with another game. I don't know how that's gonna go. I guess we'll find out. But yeah, that wasn't a bad video. If you guys want to watch, what the fuck are you saying, bro? I'ma finish. Keep going.